Locked On Podcast Network presents Locked On Sports Today.
UConn obliterated St. John's with a Big East title on the line. Also, the top NBA teams in each conference met in Detroit, and LeBron James is the odd man out in the Lakers' Big Three. UConn.
I'm Peter Bukowski, starting your day with the can't-miss stories and biggest debates in sports. You're Locked On Sports Today.
Searching all major sports. Found.
Let's start with the biggest story.
They gave St. John's the belt in a revenge game that all but clinched to share the Big East title for the Huskies. Locked On UConn host Matt Shavinsky reacted to the beatdown of the Red Storm in Hartford.
A lot of the things that I was asking for. Terrace Reed. Post presence. Defensive effort. Rebounding. Check, check, check. Everything checked. Everything checked. Embrace the moment. Check. Embrace the crowd. Check. Let the crowd build your performance. Check, check, check. Everything I wanted to see heading into this game, UConn did. We'll talk about it. But first, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Use your profit boost on an NBA future and get entered for your chance to win a trip to the NBA Finals. Play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Bear with me, guys. You could probably hear it. Just like anybody else that was at the game tonight. I'm dealing with my voice. So if my voice is in and out here, if I sound differently, it was an epic crowd today. We'll talk about that in the second segment, but bear with me. We contributed, more than contributed to the energy and the environment in that arena tonight. Absolutely spectacular showing. We'll talk about the fans in a sec, but 72-40, let's start there. Let's just go through some stats because there's some things that had transpired tonight that let's just start. 24 missed shots to end the game for St. John's. 24 missed shots in a row. You want to talk about UConn defense? How about holding St. John's to 20% from the field, 25% from three? 20% from the field. 24 straight misses to end the game. Spectacular. UConn shot 47% from the field versus St. John's is 20. UConn was only 7-25 from three, 28%. This game could have been worse. This could have been a lot worse. Hard to say when it's a 72-40 game. Huskies only shot 28%. The nation's top three-point shooting team shoots an average 39%. Shot 28% tonight. Still won by 32. Oh, my goodness. Out-rebounded St. John's 41-37. So this flipped, right? UConn was out-rebounded at MSG. UConn tonight, all over the glass. The effort. Flashback to MSG. Turnovers, 16 at MSG. 5 tonight, just 5. Silas Demery at MSG had 9 turnovers. 1 tonight. Wasn't even an impactful turnover. Offensive glass, UConn got 9. 16 for St. John's. So some work to do there if Dan Hurley's looking for anything. It's a 16 offensive rebound, and it's also Eric Robert fouling out in 7 minutes. But hey, you can't really complain about anything else in a 72-40 game where UConn held them to 20% from the field. Let's start with Terrace Reed. 20 points, 11 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, 6 blocks. We were talking pregame show, and I know, again, it was muted. You guys couldn't hear it. I did not want this to be a one-on-one. I had a segment on Terrace Reed. And I didn't really care about the one-on-one matchup with Ejiofor. Zuby Ejiofor could outscore Terrace Reed tonight. I wasn't going to care. What I cared about is Terrace Reed's effort on the glass, Terrace Reed's effort on the defensive side of the court, Terrace Reed's effort and Terrace Reed's ability to protect the rim and be a low post presence defensively. What'd you see tonight? 6 blocks. Terrace Reed has absolutely transformed into the last 2 games, the player that we've been asking for. Again, his line, 20 points, 11 rebounds, 6 blocks, 3 assists, 2 steals. Was diving on the court. 30 minutes of play. Had 4 fouls. The center spot, again, got into a bit of foul trouble, but I mean, Reed, it really didn't impact his game. Ryba, it did, obviously. Alex Caravan, 14 points on 6 of 13. Not as efficient tonight. Went 2 of 7 from 3, 5 rebounds. Again, we speak to it. 7 of 25 from 3. Huskies average 39%, best in the nation. Braylon Mullins hit 3 threes tonight, 3 of 8 from 3, 9 points, including early. He had two threes back to back. He hit one. I think it made it 18-11 in the first half. We're going to talk about the crowd in a sec, but on the break, 18-11, into the corner, bangs a 3. The crowd went absolutely insane. This crowd was ready for the jump. I'm just excited to talk about the crowd just because it was such an epic night in Hartford. But let's keep going through the stats. Silas Emery, 7 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists. 2 of 5 from the field. Only took 5 shots. Was aggressive when he needed to be. Got into the paint when he needed to be. And he did try to, near the end there, tried to throw down again on another St. John's big, just like he did at Madison Square Garden. He drew the flagrant 1 foul as he did so because it was a headshot.
You're Locked On Sports today. Coming up, 2 of the NBA's best went at it on Wednesday night. Before we get to that, the Chicago Bears are letting Tremaine Edmonds seek a trade. Ever wanted to experience the NBA Finals in person? FanDuel is giving you the chance to turn that dream into a reality with their NBA sweepstakes. Here's how it works. Use your profit boost on an NBA future, and you'll be automatically entered for a shot to win an NBA Finals trip for 2. That's right, flights, tickets, the whole experience. If you're already looking at the board and thinking about which team can make a deep run, this is the perfect time to lock it in. Not only can your pick cash, but it could also send you to the finals. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Use your profit boost on an NBA future and get entered for your chance to win a trip to the NBA Finals. Play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. The Bears are letting linebacker Tremaine Edmonds seek a trade, but if he can't find one, he's on the chopping block.
Tremaine Edmonds' time with the Chicago Bears is coming to an end one way or another. The Chicago Bears have granted him permission to seek a trade, and ultimately, if they can't find a trade partner, sure seems like they're going to release him. We heard from Ryan Poles here at the NFL Scouting Combine that the team has to make some tough decisions, and reading between the lines, he sure made it sound like they were planning to move on one way or another, and now they're just trying to see, can they get a little bit of trade compensation from somebody? Whatever team trades for him is going to need to take on $15 million of salary this season for a linebacker who hasn't quite lived up to that contract number. Still a talented player, still a starting caliber linebacker in this league, but worth that much money, you're not going to get a very early draft pick, if anything at all. Ultimately, I think this still ends in a release, but see if the Bears can strike up a deal. Maybe you include him in a different negotiation for another player for another team and try and find ways to make this Bears team better. But we'll break down the Tremaine Edmonds news and any Bears transactions that come up this week on the Locked On Bears podcast. Find it on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts.
Over in the NBA, the Spurs saw some fight from the Raptors in Toronto.
Well, that game rocked. Sean here, some quick thoughts on the Raptors falling 110-107 to the San Antonio Spurs in a game that was right there for them. They had a 12-point lead going into the fourth quarter, and yet they just couldn't get it over the finish line. Some weird rotation stuff. Scotty Barnes was kind of playing on one leg in this game with a quad injury, and they kept him out of his usual start of the fourth quarter rotation. Had a lineup without him or Brandon Ingram on the floor, and they gave up like an instant run to the Spurs to cut it to 5 within a minute or so of the fourth quarter. And from there, it was kind of a dogfight down the stretch. The Raptors didn't have enough juice on the offensive end to get it over the line, and that's going to happen sometimes when Victor Wembanyama is on the other team. And I gotta say, watching Wemby and Scotty Barnes trade defensive blows with one another in this game was a ton of fun. Scotty, late in the game, rips it straight into De'Aaron Fox's hand. They go the other way, and then Jakob Poeltl gets stuffed at the rim with this sort of unbelievably, sort of physically impossible looking block by Wemby. Just a really entertaining game. For the Raptors, they've been looking to kind of show something against the best teams in the NBA, and in this game, they were were right there with the Spurs all the way through. It's a bummer they let it go late. Not having Colin Murray-Boyles, who, by the way, was a revelation guarding Wemby in this game. Wemby goes 3 of 12 overall and still was just so obviously the best player on the floor because that's what he does. But without CMB in the fourth quarter, with a hobbled Scotty Barnes and some offense that just was a little bit stinky down the stretch, Toronto didn't have enough. But encouraging, to say the least, that the Raptors gave one of the best teams in the league such a haymaker. Sometimes the other team is going to throw a stronger haymaker back. That's what the Spurs did, but plenty to build on here for the Raptors, as disappointing as it was to lose that fourth quarter lead.
And we had a heavyweight clash, potential NBA Finals preview with the Denver Nuggets taking on the streaking Boston Celtics.
It was a battle in Denver for about 2.5 quarters, and then, well, the Nuggets went on a 17-0 run, and the Celtics just couldn't keep up. I'm John Corrales from the Locked On Celtics podcast. I do think the third game in 4 nights kind of bit them in altitude. They were missing everything short, it felt like, and there were a lot of misses for the Celtics. The things that burned them here were strengths throughout this road trip, but the Celtics gave up a ton of offensive rebounds. The defense, which was great all trip and great all month, was not there, and the Denver Nuggets just kind of ran away with it. The Celtics got nothing off the bench. Nikola Vucevic was just awful. Peyton Pritchard had nothing. They got 5 points from those two guys. And even when the Nuggets lost Jamal Murray and the Nuggets being shorthanded, it's just, you need something. The Celtics needed something from their second unit, and they didn't get it. Derek White was great for part of this game, but couldn't find the consistency. Jaylen Brown had a decent game, but the efficiency still isn't there. And the Celtics, their quest for a 40-20, 40 wins before 20 losses, that's over. This was their 20th loss of the season. Oh my God, they're not a contender anymore. We'll talk about it on the Locked On Celtics podcast.
The Pistons offense got exposed on Monday night in a scoring effort against the Spurs that was not exactly inspiring, though. Victor Wembanyama has been known to do that. Then they got it in gear against the Oklahoma City Thunder, earning an impressive win where the offense carried the day. Locked On Thunder host Rylan Stiles reacted to OKC's battle with Detroit in the other potential NBA Finals preview played last night.
Oh, this felt like a really impressive performance, and it's been a very impressive string of performances. You go back to the Spurs game where they had 8 active players. This game tonight where they were down to 9 active players. To get those 2 games into clutch time and in between them, sandwich them with a win against Cleveland on Sunday, it's like the Thunder's continued statements that they're making here is that they truly are the deepest and most talented team in the NBA. And truly it comes down to, are the Thunder going to be healthy or not for the playoff run? Because if they are healthy, this is the best team in basketball. It just simply is. And there's no point of waiting for whether to shoot a drop or to dance around it. Games like tonight really make you feel that way.
I looked up synonyms for grit, and it's got some fun ones: spirit, moral fiber, steel, nerve. My favorite is stones, because it took some stones to waltz into Detroit and only lose by 8 to this Detroit team, which is fully healthy outside of Beef Stew. And I'm not sure he's, moving the needle necessarily. To have Jay Will be your leading scorer and have all these other, ancillary guys that are playing outside of their role, outside of their comfort zone, and to play this well, you said it, Brandon. I don't necessarily love moral victories either. This is one. Like, this has to be one.
Absolutely. The Thunder were up by 12 points after the first quarter. Obviously, second, third quarter, the Pistons made the push that, we all expected them to make, but still this Thunder team got down by 17 at one point and still fought back to get it within 3, despite, all the injuries and guys missing tonight. You mentioned Jay Will. Man, he had himself a night. Career high, 30 points, 9 of 14 from the field, 5 of 10 from 3, 11 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal, and 1 block tonight, Rylan.
I mean, Jay Will in this game, man, he played with confidence, but he also played with that grit, the guts, the moxie. Everything about his game was that. Not only was he hitting threes tonight, had a couple very tough rim finishes, including the N1. And we forget, he almost had to leave the game himself due to injury. Like he came up lame on that ankle, and they had to call a timeout and regroup. And like a warrior, he stepped back out there and played 36 minutes tonight while being hampered and scored 30 points, a career high, 11 rebounds, 4 assists, a steal and a block. It was really impressive stuff from Jay Will, and what he was able to do as a shooter, again, gives you confidence. Now, look, is he going to score 30 points in a playoff game? No, he's not going to. I'm ready to tell you that right now. But this is a guy that if you're looking at this Thunder roster and you're looking at their depth, could he give you a game where he launches 3 threes and cashes them home and it really helps turn the tide of a playoff game? Absolutely. I mean, he turned the tide of a playoff series last year against Denver, which is vital for their quest for a championship last year. And this is the kind of player who he is. He has a knack for stepping up. The triple doubles last year, the 30-point game tonight. It was just really good to see Jay Will step up and just embodiment of the Thunder's culture. Just whatever the circumstances are, they find a way to keep it close and to get to the clutch and to almost beat Detroit on the road, travel back to back and in a tough game.
Yeah, I feel like we're seeing confidence building in real time. That's especially been the case with like Isaiah Joe's recent stretch where he's been really good. Obviously, Cason Wallace is building skills that we haven't necessarily seen from him. Tonight, Jay Will, I think a lot of this actually was replicable. Like he shot a lot of volume threes. They're probably going to be more open than they were tonight, especially once you have gravity guys like Shea and Dub back. And then he got to the line some. I think some of those things can hang around. I think probably the crazy circus finishes were ill-advised in the context of if other players are on the floor. But this is a game that Jalen Williams can point to and say, that's what I did when I scaled up. I can absolutely star within my role, whether it's 6 minutes, 8 minutes, 10 minutes in a postseason game against Denver, against San Antonio, whoever. This is confidence building. Like that's what games like this do for you. And again, moral victories and all that, but this is a victory for Jay Will. I talk about it all the time, how big of a like developmental success story he is. This is a part of it. Like regular rotational players just aren't able to do this. Like he is genuinely more than that. He's like a talented NBA player who has added versatility to his game over the years. So impressive outing. I'm happy for him. It felt like a genuine like mark on his career.
Cason Wallace followed up his career high 27 points with 23 points, 9 of 17 from the field, 3 of 6 from 3, another 5 assists. And of course, he got a steal tonight. He always has at least one of those. But this is 3 straight games where he's had 20 plus points. He's gone 3 of 6 from 3, 4 of 5 from 3, and 4 of 8 from 3 in the last 3 games. This stretch from Cason, I think, is going to pay big dividends down the road from the Thunder, not only this season and this playoffs, just in the future, period. Like this growth, I think we're seeing from Case. I know it's a small sample size, but he was like asked to do more during the stretch, be on ball more, be a playmaker, and he stepped up and he's playing the best ball of his career, Island.
Stay up to date all year on the Oklahoma City Thunder by subscribing to Locked On Thunder on your favorite podcast app. Coming up, is LeBron James hurting the LA Lakers? With a chance to beat the Magic on Tuesday, the Lakers botched the final possession between Luka and LeBron. Is this a sign of trouble in Los Angeles? Locked On NBA host Wes Goldberg takes a look at one stat that shows LeBron James might be the odd man out in the Lakers' big three.
So, guys, I pulled the specific lineup data that we're all talking about here from Cleaning the Glass. LeBron, Luka, and Reeves together, when they're on the court, the Lakers are being outscored by almost 7.5 points per 100 possessions when those three are on the court together. That's bad. It's bad when it's Luka and LeBron. It's bad when it's just Reeves and LeBron. You take LeBron out of the equation, and it's Luka and Reeves. The Lakers are outscoring teams by almost 12 points per 100 possessions. That's a 19-point swing. When you're talking about LeBron, Luka, and Reeves, or Luka and Reeves without LeBron. Now, the lineup data with LeBron and no Luka and no Reeves, also okay for the Lakers, but that's a big story and a troubling stat. What do you make of these numbers, Matt?
So I want to look at how they do versus the good teams, because this is their problem, right? Is that like you can kind of single out their performance versus the good teams is really the issue. They're 15th when they face a top 10 defense this season in offensive rating, and that's really concerning for a team that is so indexed on them. I think if we kind of move past the numbers, we can look at LeBron has never really played in a system with a Luka, Ball, James Harden type. And you can say like, well, LeBron is one. Not really. Not really. Like LeBron moves the ball a lot more and does like run give and go a lot with his bigs, and like will actually make like different moves and kind of these other kind of mechanisms. I don't think LeBron's really suited for that thing, especially not at this point in his career. I think defensively also like that he's just fallen off a cliff. It's fallen off a cliff. Like the numbers are very concerning that basically Father Time may not have defeated him, but he's got him up against the ropes. What's weird is that like Reeves and Luka should be okay together, but I just kind of find that this team doesn't have the kind of personnel that I thought it did. That I honestly thought they would be okay to be able to run Luka ball, and they're having a really hard time, and it just winds up with a lot of inefficiency overall. And like I point a lot of this at Luka. That's where I go with this.
And finally, universities across America are starting to hold student athletes accountable for the shenanigans that are being pulled through NIL and the transfer portal. Former Cincinnati quarterback Brendan Sorsby is being taken to federal court by the Bearcats, who claim he breached his NIL contract with Cincy when he refused to pay $1 million exit fee after he transferred to Texas Tech. Cincinnati isn't the first college athletic program to sue a former player for liquidated damages after breaking an NIL contract and transferring. In December, Georgia sued former edge rusher Damon Wilson for $390,000 in damages after he transferred to Missouri following the 2024 season. The NIL era was always going to professionalize college football. Now it's starting to litigate it, literally. Coming up, spring training underway in Major League Baseball with the start of the season crawling closer and closer. Yes, already. Didn't we just have the World Series? So at least until tomorrow, stay locked on sports today.
Locked On Podcast Network presents Locked On Sports Today.